In these uncertain economic times, it's easy to be worried about protecting your wealth, your hard-earned savings, and your family's financial future. Plunging interest rates, the devaluating dollar, and political unrest constantly threaten what you have worked hard to earn and all that you own. That's why now it's more important than ever to protect your assets and have the money you need to make your dreams come true. Welcome to the Global Wealth Fortress Report with successful global entrepreneur and wealth preservation expert Joel Nagel. Joel's helped thousands of people just like you protect what you have so that you can make even more and make your every dream come true. So, sit back and enjoy Joel Nagel's offshore expert advice on how you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.
Welcome to the Global Wealth Fortress Report. My name is Joel Nagel. I'm speaking to you from my law offices in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We've been talking a little bit about trusts. We started with the general concept of building a global wealth fortress and all of the steps necessary. We started with the trust. I think that's an excellent starting point because it's been around for over 1,000 years, and it's really considered by most legal experts to be the best way to protect, preserve, and pass on your wealth. Quite simply, when you transfer assets into an asset protection trust, they're no longer yours. And if they're no longer yours, how can somebody come and take them away from you? So at the end of the last program, we were talking about jurisdiction shopping and why you would want to create a trust outside the United States. We know we live in really one of the most litigious societies in the world. A new lawsuit is filed every 17 seconds in the United States, every minute of every hour of every day. You've all read about the nuisance lawsuits that are out there. We know that certain professions like doctors are disproportionately affected, but all industries. I mean, you remember the story about the woman who spilled hot coffee in a McDonald's drive-through and was able to seek and receive, some pretty substantial awards. So jurisdiction shopping for trusts is really about selecting the jurisdictions that are most protective, that will give you the most flexibility to accomplish your goals and objectives. And two jurisdictions I'd like to just touch on briefly are the Cook Islands, which is a little island chain off the coast of New Zealand in the Pacific, and Belize, which is in Central America. Really, it's just on the other side of Mexico, and really pretty close for those living in the southern tier of the United States. So why do I mention those two jurisdictions? They're both English common law jurisdictions, part of the Commonwealth. Their legal history, flows from the UK the way ultimately most of the US states do, Canada. So it has familiarity to it. But they also have legislatively taken positions that are very different in the United States, particularly when it comes to the creation of trusts. Trusts can be created in both of those jurisdictions without the ability of people to attack them afterwards. In the United States, we have this concept of look-back provisions where somebody can claim even 1, 2, in states like California, it's 3 years. 3 years after you've created a legal structure like a trust, somebody can come back and challenge it and say, oh, you did that to try to evade creditors improperly. Now, whether they win or lose, you're going to have to litigate that matter in the state where it was created. So if I have a trust in California, let's say, for example, that I deliver premature babies for a living in Los Angeles County. Does anybody truly think that you're going to be able to go 3 years without having any kind of lawsuit? It's unlikely, right? So what that really means in California is that an obstetrician that delivers premature babies for a living, as a matter of public policy, cannot protect themselves. They can't protect their assets. They can't protect their family. They can't try to protect, preserve, and pass on their wealth, which is what building a global wealth fortress is all about. So in that instance, and there's many other examples I could use. I like using doctor examples because I think everybody understands that in most situations, if people don't have a perfect health outcome, if they don't have a perfect baby, if they have any kind of side effect from their operation, whatever it is, they're most likely going to try and sue. And so doctors really are at the forefront of needing very solid asset protection. So if I have a doctor, if I have a entrepreneur, if I have an executive, if I have anybody that, let's say, owns real estate and rents it out to lots of people, anybody that has over average exposure when it comes to lawsuits, I'm definitely going to be looking at jurisdictions like the Cook Islands and like Belize. Because once I've created a trust in those jurisdictions and funded it, it's virtually impossible. I won't use the word impossible, but it's virtually impossible for anybody to be able to come out of the woodwork and go after those assets. Whereas in the US, I've spoken with many plaintiffs' lawyers, and they gleefully tell me how they're able easily to pierce corporate structures, to pierce trust structures, and to get after assets. So if you're really trying to protect and preserve and pass on your wealth, we want to create the right structure, and we want to create the right structure in the right jurisdiction. And that's where jurisdictions like the Cook Islands and Belize come into play. All right, I've really enjoyed talking about trust the last couple of episodes, and we're certainly going to circle back to trusts again as platforms for investment and for lots of other reasons. We're going to talk about other jurisdictions. But for the next few days, I'm going to take a little bit of a detour. Building a global wealth fortress can really take on many parts. We talked about legal structures, but there's also other strategies. And one of the strategies that's become very popular in the last 5 or 10 years, and even more so in the last 6 months, where we've had these global lockdowns and it's become difficult for people to travel from one jurisdiction to another, is the concept of having second residencies, second passports, to be able to have options and choices. And so tomorrow I'm going to be traveling with my 2 young daughters. I don't know exactly how this is going to play out because it seems like the rules and regulations are changing on a minute by minute and day by day basis. But we are en route to Europe. Our first stop is the Azores Islands in Portugal. Looking forward to a couple days of R&R there before I take them back to school in Austria, where they attend an international school in the city of Vienna. So again, right now it's not possible for Americans to travel to Europe at all, but we're going to do it anyways. And I'm going to be explaining how we do that and the benefits that you too can have by having a second residency and second passports. So I hope you'll join me again. Until we meet again, I wish you health, I wish you happiness, and I wish you a wealth that can't be destroyed or taken away by others. See you real soon. Goodbye.
Thanks for joining Joel Nagel and the Global Wealth Fortress Report, a whole new approach to asset protection and estate planning, so that now you can live the good life at a great price, where the sun never sets on your financial fortress.